My sister Josie.
I hate days like this, when heat thickens the air too much to breathe comfortably, and sweat puddles in my socks, but there's nothing to do but squish back and forth in the yard until the heat took us all out. Or until dinner, whichever came first. Mama locked us out the air-conditioned house because she's convinced SpongeBob is rotting our brains and that back in her day they played outside with the neighborhood kids until sundown. But I don't like the kids in my street. I barely like my siblings. Josie sits blowing bubbles on the porch steps. She's the oldest by 5 years, but she never stops finding ways to make the gap seem so much more. I know she'd rather be scrolling on her phone, but since Mama is forcing her to put it down for once, the next best thing for her is to show us up by pretending to be a good sport. And she's pretty good at pretending. I watch stream after stream of bubbles float from the wand until the yard is swarming, and it doesn't take her long to convince our younger brother Joel that we've entered Bubble World 2.0, the sequel of a place she and I created when I was still in diapers. But that's how I know how fake she's being. Josie thinks Bubble World is for babies now, and had long resigned from being its queen. But if she's going to pretend to be a good sport, then I will do it better. Why should she be the one to get patted on the back at the end of the day? I try my best to smile as Joel and I wander the yard popping bubbles, but Dad forgot to cut the lawn and the grass is scratching my ankles with skeleton fingers and this stupid fly keeps tasting my eyebrow no matter how many times I shoo him away. And I hate that Josie could still blow perfect bubbles, even after she had long betrayed Bubble World citizens. This is boring, I say finally, and Josie's shoulders simply shrug. I asked you what you wanted to do, she said, blowing another stream of bubbles before continuing. You guys couldn't think of anything. Well, I never had to think of games before. That was always her job. I cross my arms an inch closer so Josie could see my pout, but she doesn't notice. Fine, I say. Let's play Dimension. Another game Josie invented. We'd get our mismatched set of hula hoops and pretend they were portals to other worlds. She used to take me any place I wanted to go. Sure, she says. I'll get the hoops for you and Joel. Me and Joel. Right. Actually, let's play... The list shuffles in my head like flashcards. Let's play circus. That one had been one of her favorites. Josie was always the ringmaster, and I would get to play everything from the clown to the most inflexible acrobat on the face of the earth. It had been another sticky Saturday afternoon like this when I attempted to flip once, and Josie had laughed for hours after I received a face full of dirt. But that had been okay with me. I had laughed with her. Even now, I think I see her eyes light up for a split second. No, it's just the sun. Circus? Oh yeah, I remember that, she says. Watch Joel for a minute while I bring out the stuff for you guys. Just me and Joel. Forget it, I say, the list reshuffling once again. I don't know why I'm trying so hard. I already know what her answers will be. I want to go to the park, Joel suddenly whines, and not even Josie could completely hide her displeasure. It's a little hot to run around the park, don't you think? She says, but Joel is determined, a tantrum charged and ready in his pocket. We both know once the explosion happens, Mama would automatically assume it was our fault and ground us. Josie has no choice but to give up. Fine, I'll tell Mom, she says, screwing the bubble lid on with a little too much force. Go grab some water bottles from the kitchen. Jazlyn, get my phone. Mama said you couldn't have it, I remind her, but she's already one step ahead. But we're leaving, so I need it in case of emergencies. I don't answer, just stalk up the porch steps, not bothering to hold the screen door for either of them as I make my way upstairs. Josie and I share a room, but I don't like being in there anymore. The room used to be one color, but now her side is cluttered with ugly posters of famous boys she and her friends always scream about. All our toys have been shoved to my side of the room because apparently dolls are for babies now. Her phone is lying on her bed, and I stare down at the black screen, my face glaring back at me until a text would pop up. I don't think I'm a psychic or anything, but my sixth sense is pretty good. The last time I felt it was a couple months ago, after Mama had picked us up from Granddaddy's. Josie had raced Joel to the car, and normally I would have joined them. Would have won, too. But that night my stomach was too hollow to run, twisted inside like someone was wringing out a wet rag. I'd been afraid I'd caught a stomach bug from school, but the next day I knew otherwise. The next day had been Josie's 13th birthday, and Mama had gotten her that phone. She has never raced Joel and I to the car after that. I snatch the phone up now and head back. It's the first time I've ever touched it. Josie hardly ever lets it out of her sight, and no joke, as soon as I meet her downstairs, it is immediately in her grasp again. For the longest while, she makes no move to leave, her thumbs flying over the touchscreen, eyes glossed over like she was hypnotized. I roll my eyes. Are we going or what? Yeah, she says, not looking up. The park is only a little ways up the street, and as we walk, Josie barely holds on to Joel's slippery fingers as she's too busy texting. I lag behind, socks squishing in my sneakers the entire way as I pray no other kids will be there. I just want to swing by myself for a while. But a dumb group are already huddled there by the time we arrive. Josie sits on a bench while Joel entertains himself with the same slide over and over again. I slide for a while too, keeping an eye out for an empty swing, but those dumb kids refuse to move. They are playing some game with water guns, and it actually looks so fun that I finally decide to ask if I could join. But those dumb kids only tell me this game isn't for babies like me. I ball my fist in the pockets of my shorts. Anger heats my cheeks, but only tears will come out. There's nothing else to do but stomp back to where Joel is still sliding, and I busy myself by kicking around the wood chips. Jazzy, you're it! I don't realize Joel has tagged me until he is sprinting back around the swirly slide to hide. I don't really feel like playing anymore, but I can't just let him win. A breeze gracefully cuts through the suffocating heat as I begin chasing Joel around the playground. It isn't long until my legs are burning, but I am finally starting to have some fun today, so I ignore it. We keep running around, climbing up and down the jungle gym, jumping off ledges, squeezing through the network beneath the playground, racing and racing until Josie's voice is yelling at us from the bench. Jazzy, Joel, time to go. But we just got here, Joel says as we came to a stop in front of her. I can see the tantrum being charged in the impatient twitch of his muscles, and I prepare myself just in case the explosion happens. Mom wants us home, Josie says, but I know she's lying. The real reason she wants to leave is because her phone just died, and there's no way I'm letting her drag us back just so she could go back to gossiping with her friends. We're not leaving, I say, crossing my arms. From the corner of my eye, I see Joel glance over at me before doing the same. Josie's nostrils flare. Don't be a brat. Come on, or I'm telling Mom. You'll have to catch me first. I quickly grab Joel's hands and we sprint back to the playground. Josie is screaming after us, but we keep running. She has no choice but to chase us down, and I can't help but feel proud of myself for making her do so. Her phone is nowhere in sight as she hunts Joel and I up and down the slides and across the wide fields where the high schoolers would sometimes play football. Joel sprints around the swings where the other kids are now watching us, and I head back toward the playground to hide behind the tiny rock wall. It's hard to listen for Josie's footsteps over my heavy breaths, and my body starts when I hear the crunch of wood chips sounding closer. When I glance over the wall, it's just a couple of those dumb kids from the swings. Can we play with you? A boy asks. And I want so badly to say no like they did to me, but I can already hear Mama's voice chewing me out in my head, so I nod. But go get your water guns, I say. Josie soon spots me and gives up pursuing Joel to catch me. I pretend not to notice her, and by then I have my secret weapons in place. The kids with their water guns are positioned like my own personal FBI agents, and as soon as Josie is near enough, they jump into the clearing to spray her. She screams, but we continue showering her until there is no water left and we are forced to reload at the water fountain. I keep an eye out for Josie as I do, my insides bouncing up and down like a yo-yo. I scope the park again and again, but my sister has disappeared, and so has the other half of the kids who'd been hogging the swings. I suddenly spot Joel hurrying towards my crew, laughing and soaked. Josie has gathered an army of her own and is swiftly approaching. Attack! I cry out like some war hero, and our sides clash together. I'm the leader of one and Josie the other, but we keep getting confused which teammates are our own, and after a while we just start spraying anyone. Water and sweat drip over my eyelids, but I don't care. The sun dips a little lower, but none of us notice. Even when the mosquitoes spring up from the weed-infested fields to play with us too, we just shoot at them as much as we target each other. A few times we switch to other games like freeze tag or capture the flag, but inevitably we turn on each other all over again. Gradually our teams grow smaller and smaller, dwindling until it is only me and my siblings. Since the others leave with their water guns, we resort to the tiny bottles we brought with us from home until Joel begins complaining about wanting dinner. The sun must only be a couple hours from setting by the time we finally head home, bodies soaked and muddy. I can't believe that happened, Josie says at some point along the way, and I'm not sure if she's speaking to me or to herself, but I nod anyways. I can't believe it either. Behind all that stupid adult stuff poisoning Josie's mind, she is still the person I remember being so much fun. Somewhere inside, she remains on the throne of Bubble World. Was it the same for Mama and Pop and all their friends? The people who drive cars and buy houses and who get to stay up past 10? Maybe all the adults still want to play tag with water guns, but can't because the law says they must grow old and boring. I blame the government. You're not gonna actually tell Mama on me, are you? I ask, suddenly remembering her former threat, but Josie shakes her head. No, that was fun. Race you home. Josie grabs Joel's hand and sprints ahead. The pain in my feet is up to my knees by now, and my body is already sore, but I run after her anyways, and we are still laughing when we march up the porch steps. Mama yells at us for tracking mud on the carpet as soon as she sees us, and as Josie showers first, Joel and I are trapped outside for a little longer. I go next, the soap wiping everything off me except the warmth in my cheeks, until that sixth sense of mine pops up again, crawling up my throat until I can barely swallow. I dry off and dress as quickly as I can. Maybe Josie will watch a movie with me. But Josie is back on her phone when I get to our room. I hover in the doorway, but she doesn't look up at me. The only part of her that is moving is her thumb scrolling down the touchscreen. I don't bother her. That day in the park years ago was the last time I can ever say we really played together. She left for college a couple weeks ago, promising to call every night. I had nodded and smiled and waved her off until her car had disappeared around the bend. But I knew a call would never come, at least not for me. But then that's Josie, always pretending. About a month after that is my own 13th birthday, and Mama gives me my first phone as a present just like she had for Josie. It's weird being on the other end of it now, and despite what I'd once promised myself, I really like it. I'm not sure how I ever survived without it before. Joel is nearly 11. He's more into video games than playing tag now, and he's definitely over chasing bubbles in the yard. I guess we all are. So I sit and play with him sometimes, and I try to be a good big sister, a better big sister than mine. I think I actually am a little better too, because if Joel had still been residing in Bubble World, I wouldn't have just abandoned him there. I would have stood hand in hand with him until every bubble had popped. Thank you so much for watching. You can check out this story and others on my Wattpad. Please be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to help support my channel, and stay tuned for the next one.